All right, I'm going to say shalom to everyone. Hopefully, everybody's Sabbath was a great Sabbath. I didn't go into a Sabbath lesson, but I thought this particular information that I'm going into would be more appropriate for this first day of the week, which is a so-called Sunday. Now, I saw a Google Plus post in regards to an 11-year-old Hebrew brother scoring very high on the IQ test. Um, and I wasn't surprised because I've seen a lot of other little, young brothers score very high um, on the IQ test. Um, but it led me down a path. Actually, the big thing about it is I think he scored higher than Einstein and some other person, uh, which was not surprising to me at all. Um, a lot of you all, and I'm talking directly to the children of Israel, that those of us that understand who they are, a lot of you all will score very high. But what do they put in your neighborhoods so you won't? Chemtrails, liquor stores, Christian churches that's set up by the Romans, drugs and alcohol. So you're not going to score high. What you're going to do is get in all that stuff and score very low because your brain is not open. Now, even though the test itself is some junk, it's some junk because it's not even set for us to score high anyway. But we're so able to fit in that we learn how to score high. It's almost like if you take some real kinky hair. Now remember, everything that we do in the physical, there's some spiritual similarities or mental similarities based on the information I just said about the IQ test. It's not really set for us, but we learn how to fit in and we still score high. Okay, that's what Hebrew people do. All right, now when it comes down to we got kinky hair, real thick kinky hair, but we can smooth it out, straighten it to fit in, and then it curl back up. There's no other people hair in the world that can do that but the children of Israel, period. Especially the tribe of Judah. Now this Judite brother scored very high on the IQ test, only 11 years old. And the reason why I'm putting that out, not to boast or anything like that, not to say that we're better than anybody, but to show how there's people in the world that stand out for a reason. The Most High have it set that way. That's Deuteronomy 7, chapter 7, verse 6. So we're supposed to stand out because we have a duty to do. We're on a level where the Most High uses us different than He uses other people. That's not to boast. You don't get mad at your toenails. You know what I'm saying, because they not as comely as the fingernails or something. Do your toenails get mad at your fingernails, or does your kidneys get mad at the heart because the heart do more than the kidney? Or they all work together. That's what I'm trying to show. So even other nations need to understand that too. Now, what really made me want to make this video is because I said, well, since I've learned, based on a personal level, since I've learned how to fight the flu within 3 days, I'm able to give out information to others and go into research and find information to help others. And I'm getting gang stalked and all this stuff. And even at that point, a lot of the people that's being gang stalked have very high IQs, very high. They will tell you that because they can just figure certain things out. They can put all the puzzle pieces together quicker than anybody else, and that's why you are a threat. But I noticed, since I was going through this information, I said, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and take this test, right? I went on ahead and took this test, this IQ test, and years ago, around like 2007, I took it. Scored low. It was like I don't know, like 70, like 72. But I wasn't in scripture really, that I was, just doing anything I wanted or whatever, acting like an animal, right? So I said, you know what, let me just take this silly test just to see what it's about. Went on and took it again. It was a different type of test. It looked totally different than when I took it in 2007. I'm looking at this test. I'm like, man, this thing is elaborate. I don't know. But then I felt some type of confidence. And as I'm looking at the questions, right? I'm looking at these questions. I'm like, okay, well, this, and I'm just gonna, just this is what my thought patterns were. Okay, so I'm saying to myself, this should go with this, and that should go with that, or it was almost like it was common sense, but it really wasn't, because when you look at the multiple choice questions and in between where the real answer is, they try to throw you off with different colors or whatever. And we know some of us know how the IQ test is set up. They're going to try to trick you with different colors, and it's mundane details. You have to pay attention to certain details. And to make a long story short, I started to, go through certain things, and I was like, well, okay, let's see how I scored. And I press get your results or something. Excuse me. And that thing, it scored pretty high. I don't want to put the information out there. I'm not, because the reason why is because I don't boast of nothing. You know what I'm saying? I do this for the Most High and to help others. It was pretty high. And I'm like, how is it high when I just misplaced my keys? One day, and this is funny, I put on a navy blue sock and a black sock. So I'm thinking to myself, is this thing right? But then I start thinking, like, well, those people that are being gang stalked, and I mean, excuse me, those of us that are targeted individuals, or those of us that are being gang stalked, either way you say it, are actually, though, because I remember seeing a video when a person said, I scored high on this test, I scored high on that test, I did this, I was that, the IQ test, I scored high, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. They know that's how you know it's set up by Satan himself. These people have studied us for so many years, and it ain't just, I would say, black people or whatever. They study any person of right now, in these last days, any person that scored high on a test, that you can break down certain things. There's not too many people in the world that will take the word Ebola and make Belo and find out that that's really what Ebola is. Belo means to harm, to make sick. And it's not like I'm doing this myself. The Most High will allow a lot of us to get this wisdom, to give us certain information. But some people exalt themselves. But what I'm putting out here today is, if people don't understand, if they don't come back to this book, these scriptures, this is how you build your IQ. This book, this is the only thing that helped me. Everything else I was doing outside of this book was stupid. It was dumb. Believe that, because I can remember, I'm thinking back in my head how I put these spacers to put these silly rims on my car. They was too big for the car anyway, so you can buy these stupid things that you can put spacers on your by your studs, your wheel studs, to screw the lug nuts in. I put two of them there. Now the car doing this, I could have killed myself. So I'm just thinking of the dumb stuff that I used to do. So you talking about somebody that was straight a sinner, even though I come from the Christian church, but what's that? Everybody there was still doing certain things that was wrong. So I'm looking at this, right? The only thing that's going to help us to build anything is scripture. Okay. Now, what I would like for people to do is, those of you that take the test, contact me and tell me what your your uh what your score was. I want to know exactly what your score was, because the reason why I'm doing it, I'll let you know in an email. All right. I'm not gonna put it out on this media. All right. I would like to know what your score is, and I would like to contact you. All right. The reason why I'm doing it that way is for confidential reasons. Because, like I said, they study a lot of us to the point where they get your mind off of how you got to the point where you did score very high, to throw you off, and that's their main thing. It's a mental game. It's psychological, to try to daunt you walking around your area. Every time you go out your house, there's somebody walking around. You see what I'm saying? Like, who's that? And most people, the layman, is not going to be able to put two and two together. They say, oh, that's just a coincidence. That's just a coincidence. Every time you walk around, or every time you go to a store, you see a white van. That's a coincidence. Even if it's 2 in the morning, is that a coincidence? Nah, it's not. So, like I said, some of us are just open to a higher frequency. Black, white, Chinese, Asian, whatever you are, it don't matter. Because, like I said before in the other video, a lot of us are called, but few are chosen. All right. So there you have it. Just you all can hit me up on what you think. Like I said, I was pretty amazed on my particular score. I'm not somebody that you would think that would score high on no test. But then I look back in my life how I was vaccinated. A lot of our people are vaccinated thinking that that's something that's to protect them. It actually make you worse off. Because usually when you catch something like a flu in your later, when you get older, it get worse. It stays forever. All right, so there you have it. You all can contact me. I will definitely put my email at the bottom, at the description box. All right, shalom.